Daisy Ridley is the actress who played Rey in the new Star Wars sequel trilogy that just wrapped up in December of 2019. Feels like a lifetime ago right now, but it wasn't that long ago. And Daisy Ridley opened up and talked about the backlash to the Rise of Skywalker, the final installment into the Skywalker saga, and how she thought it was a little upsetting. Speaking to Dragcast, Daisy Ridley said, "It changed film by film, honestly. Like 98% it's so amazing. The last film, it was really tricky. January was not that nice. It was weird. I felt like all of this love that we had sort of been shown the first time around, I was like, where's the love gone? I watched a documentary, The Making of, this week, and it's so filled with love, and I think that's a tricky thing of when you're a part of something that is so filled with love, and then people, you know, everyone's entitled to not like something, but it just feels like it's changed slightly. I think in general that's because social media and what have you. If I went to a film and didn't like it, I wouldn't tweet about it. But it's such a conversation, and it always has been. I guess now conversations are more public. So there's stuff that I wouldn't have seen, but honestly trying to scroll through my news feed in January and trying not to see Star Wars stuff, I'd see headlines and it'd be like, oh my god, this is so upsetting. It's been tricky, but then it's having that thing of I feel really proud of it, and I'm so thrilled to be part of it, but it's a funny thing." So I guess in the way I'm translating this on her feelings, because I feel like her words were a little odd. Basically, she's surprised with the backlash that Episode 9 got compared to something like Episode 7 and Episode 8, because she felt like the praise that happened back in 2015 when The Force Awakens came out is a lot different than what we got in 2019 when The Rise of Skywalker came out. And she seems like she's blaming social media for this, and that's a fair point, let's be honest. If it was the 80s and we had social media, there'd probably be a lot of people who were upset about certain aspects of the Star Wars original trilogy, and they would talk about it online and whatnot, kind of like we did with the prequel trilogy, and now, of course, the sequel trilogy. And I'll admit, it's a little baffling to hear Daisy Ridley talk like this. It makes me, if I was the interviewer, I would just look at her and say, hey, where have you been? Have you ever seen Star Wars? Were you alive during the prequel era? I know she is. She's older than me. Because the prequels kind of had a reverse effect, where it started off really rough with The Phantom Menace, a lot of people didn't like it, a lot of backlash towards it, and then ending it with the Revenge of the Sith film, Episode 3, everyone more or less enjoyed that one, and everyone left the theater saying that was the best one. And the prequels were mostly slandered for 15 years until the kids who grew up with the prequels grew up and said, hey, they're not that bad, we actually like them, and a lot of people realized in hindsight, maybe the films got a little bit too much backlash. My point is, we've experienced this before, and I'm a little surprised that she's upset with some of the backlash this one got, comparing it to The Force Awakens, because yet again, it's like, where have you been? Do you know what's... I mean, you're obviously the main lead for these movies. Do you not understand that in 2015, when The Force Awakens comes out, that's going to be the film that is literally Star Wars is back. That's the message right there. That's how you get everyone hooked, is that Star Wars is back. We're starting a new trilogy. We had a bright future ahead of us at that time in 2015, and more Star Wars films, and to see where this story goes of these new heroes. And Daisy Ridley's character, Rey, got some backlash back in 2015. That's when the whole Mary Sue argument started being brought up, of how she can literally do anything she wants. She's a flawless character, so therefore it's hard to relate to her. Daisy had to delete her social media, and a lot of people claimed it was because of Star Wars fans harassing her and bullying her. No, I remember her Instagram very well. I remember when all this was happening. She was very political. And it's one of those things where when you are dealing with a fandom like the Star Wars fans, either don't say anything and they'll find nothing to get mad at you about, or just, you know, be positive towards the Star Wars fans and show no biases. You don't want to alienate your audience at all by picking a certain side in the political realm. And it feels like, you know, I hate to sound like this because this sounds a little egotistical, but it sounds like she's a little unself-aware. Like she's not very self-aware of kind of looking outside the box, looking at this from a different perspective that's not hers. And that's where I feel like this is a little odd. But then again, to be fair, she was Rey. She was involved with these Star Wars films, and she's right. These films were made with love. Even if you don't like The Last Jedi, The Rise of Skywalker, the new sequel films, I don't care. If you don't like them, that doesn't mean they weren't made with passionate people behind them who truly loved what they were doing. A lot of these people who made these films are Star Wars fans. But just because you go into this with good intentions, you go into this trying to make the great films that you can, sometimes you miss the mark. Sometimes it falls flat on its face. So the idea that, oh, where the love's gone, well, where'd the story go? Where have the scripts gone? What happened to the dialogue? What happened to Star Wars being Star Wars? The sequel films honestly just felt like a repeat of the original trilogy films. I remember leaving Rise of Skywalker, and I'm not trying to harp on the trilogy just to harp on it, but I remember leaving the Rise of Skywalker thinking, so what was the point? What was the point of all this? I still don't get it. The original trilogy was about finding your destiny, going for that higher calling to life, going on an adventure. The prequel trilogy, despite its flaws, was a tragedy about the hero, the chosen one, falling. And what it really was about, in even more layman's terms and less on the surface kind of stuff, was just showing the fall and rise of Darth Vader and Anakin Skywalker. That's all it really was. It's just to show you what happened before the original trilogy. The sequel trilogy didn't have much of a message to it, and some people who are self-aware, in my opinion, like Oscar Isaac, John Boyega, they look at these films and they even say themselves, yeah, I wish they did some different stuff with my characters. Yeah, I wish this would have happened. Some people are a little disappointed with it. There's a difference between doing that and looking at it and saying, well, yeah, I see your point, and doing what she's doing and saying, oh, where'd the love go? I'm all for positive vibe, my friends. I love positivity. I think it's an important thing. I think the internet is far too negative a lot of the time. But there does come a part where you have to look at it from the real world and say, 2015 is the start of Star Wars. 2019 is the end of it. At least in terms of the sequel trilogy. So yeah, you're going to have a lot of different reactions from Star Wars is back, we're starting a new trilogy, and the trilogy is over, now how do I feel about it? I mean, did she really look at the script for The Rise of Skywalker, or even watch the film and go, everyone's going to love this? No, even J.J. Abrams, the director himself, and I like J.J. Abrams, the way he does the PR aspect of things like this is great. He looks at the fans and he say, if you like it, great. If not, I understand. You're right. And I think that's the right mentality to have for this. But tell me your thoughts below. What do you guys think about Daisy Ridley being upset about the response to The Rise of Skywalker? Do you think she's justified? Do you think she's being a little bit unaware about it? I think she has a lack of self-awareness in this situation, but comment your thoughts below. Like, comment, and subscribe, please. It does help out the channel. I am Star Wars Only. I will see you all next time, and may the Force be with you always.